Hello, my name is Ben Keat, and I'm just making a video about the whole process of creating Emojis and how it's possible to make it happen. Because there are many ways to make the physicality of a platform appear in metaphysical ways, but to make it manifest itself physically, it actually requires a lot of work from universal bodies who can structure the creation of Ina according to the architecture that I've laid down in the whole program that I've set up already in Emojis and on my servers. Um, in the previous video, I talk about the whole reality of Ina coming in like a tidal wave, just like a flash, everything coming. It'll appear like that to us here on Earth where it appears, but actually the reality of it will be much more in line with, say, several weeks of build-up of what appears to be some pleroma or spiritual creation, spiritual elements. And as this develops, as this builds up, if you like, the host, the angelic host, will be working from above in the protective bubble of Nibiru. The creation has culminated and has come home to roost, if you like, in Gloucestershire in the UK. And the universal hosts will start manifesting the reality in their dimension, if you like, which is the one dimension below the physical manifestation of Ina. So, say if the seventh dimension is the ethereal reality of Ina coming, or the sixth dimension maybe is the ethereal reality of Ina becoming physical, then the seventh or eighth, depending on which level it is, it's the ethereal level in the first place. The seventh or the eighth is actually the physical manifestation, the actual physicality of the realm on Earth. And I think it's the seventh and eighth. So I think it's the seventh is the ethereal reality, and the eighth dimension is actually the physicality of the tidal wave, the sudden appearance of Ina. It'll just happen. Not only will this is my projection, that not only will the size change incrementally and beyond all proportions, but the reality from outside, as you view Gloucestershire from space above, you won't see any change except for maybe a change in the coloration or the lights at night, how they will manifest themselves. But you won't actually see any change in the coloration or the actual physicality of the landscape, the platform. You won't be able to see satellite images of the realm of Glasgow Ransby or on Earth. So it is much more physical in terms of the manifestation of the pleroma will go on for several weeks, maybe a month or two, before this tidal wave sweeps and suddenly everything changes. But people will fear that they're going to be swept right out into oblivion, into chaos. But everything is ordered around the people who come here and who live here. Doesn't necessarily mean that the only people that live here. There'll be other people who will be invited who will come, but there'll be other people already who've come already from the other parts of the world to bring in the rest of them, to bring in the other people who come gradually. But irrespective of whether people have come already or whether they're going to come in the future, they will all have a link to someone within the realm who's developed the system, or developed systems within the realm that are associated with practices and people from outside. But the people who are actually living here, when this tidal wave sweeps, instead of knocking them into chaos and oblivion, it'll knock everything into perfection. Especially those who are awake to it, who are aware that it is coming. People who are sleeping in their minds and not aware that this reality is happening, and are just literally, the for want of a better word, human doormats who can't do anything more than their slave job, their slave to their debt, the debt economy, and the do as I say culture. That means that they just, they decide that because they have no imagination, that no one else can have an imagination too. These sort of people will turn into something possibly archontic in the system. This is a theory that at the moment everyone's human in the zone, but there will be an archontic element. Aren't awake to it and aren't prepared for it. This is the real danger about waking up to the reality of Nibiru coming, of the platform coming, and the whole manifestation. As the panorama starts to thicken, people should start to be aware. They should start to be. They may not be seeing things in their mind. Maybe they've seen things in their mind in the past, and they'll remember that. And they'll remember if they've seen this video that there's a big chance. Well, there's every chance. In fact, it's going to happen. That the physicality is going to happen as soon as this panorama starts to build up and develop. The Barbello Aeon is a triple male Barbello Aeon, which is the third physicality of the Aeons in terms of the creative infrastructure of the platform. And the Barbello Aeon, as you all know, is the Virgin Mary. So, um, she's a crucial element to the coming and the reality of Ina, but more so because of the Messiah, the Son, the Christ, because the Christ is part and parcel of his father as much as he is part and parcel of the triple male Barbello. So because of that, although she lives in a different country, it's possible that the reality, the physicality of Ina comes because the father of that son is the one who has made it happen, and because of that, he's connected to the sun. So because of that, the full incremental power of the Barbello is put into this zone even before possibly she arrives, and this is the reason, in religious terms or in Gnostic terms, about why Pleroma starts to build up and starts to develop. Um, and but the physicality is the fact that the universal host will be building and creating the infrastructure, and if you've seen a video called Earth is an Alien's Quarry, if you look up on YouTube, it talks about it's done by a Russian guy. It talks about the fact that aliens have vast machines that can till the soil, if you know what I mean, and put mountains where there weren't any, and the physicality. So the architecture is so complex in its description that not only does the landscape change, but the whole reality of the houses and everything just whitewashed and suddenly becomes anew the beautiful white city of first heaven. So this is the reality that I'm the architect of, and if you like, it's my baby. But if you know how this develops in the future, there'll be many other platforms across the zones of the Earth. Other people will get a chance because of the, if you like, the snowball effect that as we start to develop more and more creative infrastructure in the realm. If you look at spacetm.uk, it talks about our space, the space reality, the torsion field sockets, and the duality of space on Earth. As we develop more creative infrastructure, we build up more player armor and more creative tissue to operate with, which means more universal hosts from other parts of the universe, and generally developing a whole commonwealth all over the earth. To begin with, the first levels, the first heaven realms, will all be countryside zones. There'll be areas that are protected areas of the country. There will already be a safe haven in place in those locations, and there will be not lawless places. There'll be good creative industries and technology and people who are involved in that in the setting up of those zones will also adhere to the relationship, to some sort of relationship with the fulfillment of Ina, the first zone, the central zone in Gloucestershire. So the reality will be a knock on effect that will hopefully snowball all over the world and give many other people the opportunity to fulfill their dreams and say the owner, the magnet of each practice, if you like, the person who can pull their own player armor, their own creative substance, and make it their own, in the way that humans are no doubt done throughout centuries in many terms, in the way we fought battles, we fought wars, we fight each other, we struggle, we do all these things to dominate. Ultimately, the reality is that the domination is more the ownership of your own soul, which is actually the physicality of being able to do that is quite intense. It doesn't necessarily, it can manifest itself as a sporting prowess, indeed, but it's also a lot to do with the mentality, the intelligence within the mind. It depends how switched on you are, how developed you are, how much you understand within yourself, and how programmed you are by your own intelligence, not necessarily by the dictation of what other people say. And this is an important factor in understanding how to manifest yourself as a realmic king, if you like, for want of a better word, a realmic ruler who will have the full capabilities bestowed upon them with the reality of what Space TM and the technologies of ENA offer, and will be able to embody more player armor and more spiritual player armor to these safe haven zones that will develop into the future of all reality. So, yeah, please check out the website SpaceGem if you have a chance, spacegem.uk. Umosras.uk just taught us literally a little bit about the whole infrastructure and the whole creative program. That is, if you like, Umosras.uk is like the hope of what is to happen. It's like the description of what we aim to do, what we plan to do with the realities of the creative infrastructure that I have at my that I pertain to have. I suppose. I mean, there's no physical evidence necessarily that I have this creative infrastructure, but if you look at my technologies and you believe in some of the things I say, and it all makes sense to you, then there's no reason why it shouldn't be worth taking a risk in. What's to lose? You know, what's to lose? Why am I? I'm not going to go around stamping something on your forehead because you believe in me, or I'm not going to go around cheeking you and trying to get you killed because you don't. You know, it's up to you. It's up to the individual. You know, and what's to lose? So if you look at Umosras.uk, so Umosras is the dream. It's something I started a long time before I started the actual creative infrastructure of setting it up on servers and configuring it physically, the architecture and everything else through technology, and my link up to the off-world and relationships with NASA and other programs throughout the fullness of the last 20 years of my life have developed into a sort of three-way split between Umosras, which is the hope, spacetm.uk, which is the how we're going to put it in place, and Sierra.uk, which is how we're going to equip other people to learn how to set up their own practices or how to set up their own realities and fulfill their realities through the provision of Space TM. So please look at the websites. Don't judge straight away until you've looked at them. But there's umosras.uk, spacetm.uk, and sierra.uk. These are all worth a look at if you want to do a little bit of background reading on the subject and see what the reality could potentially manifest itself as Umosras, because it's a dream I've had. I've got a reason to put it in place. You know, I don't doubt my vulnerability. You know what I mean? And that's the reason why I put it in place. You know, it's something to share with other people who I want to make or believe or can make themselves invulnerable. This is something I want to share with as many people on the planet um, as possible. You know, far and wide, who can reach this potential through either human endeavor or through the knowledge, the psyche, you know, the intelligence, the what is in the mind, because all the two together ultimately should mesh at a certain point, and your intelligence should become your physicality as well. But there are two sides to everything, and sometimes it pays to be unbalanced. It pays to do more on the knowledge, if you're that type of person, or more on the physicality. And this is the reality that's changing the future dimension of everything. Because people are learning from within themselves. They're learning in a Gnostic way. They're not learning from this do as I say culture that says, you know, we're going to dictate how things happen on this earth, and we're not going to listen to any new ideas. You know, we're going to stand in the way of progress and all this sort of thing. We get this from left wing governments, unfortunately. Not all the time. It's not always the left wing governments that do it. I agree, but currently in the UK, the government that's in power at the moment is very much more in favour of getting progress, getting off world, getting a space program, getting involved in NASA, doing our own British space program, and doing everything we can towards it. And they give me massive boosts and massive support. They believe in what I'm doing, and if that's enough for them, if that's enough for you that they believe in what I'm doing, then don't just take it as read what I'm saying. Read the websites and have a look at them, because there's a chance for everyone to have part of this Commonwealth and to share in it, especially if they prove that they're, you know, a pioneer, someone who's original, someone who does things through self intuition, through self knowledge, because that's the future. That's the new way. That's the way this universe is going to come to this earth and take over, take the world by storm, and turn it into the future dimension of everything we've ever dreamed for.